name is Kathy, and today I'll be discussing how to use homeopathic remedies on ailments, continuing with infections, infestations, and the immune system, starting with the letters P and R. But before I do this, I wanted to let you know that because I have a great many videos now on many different topics, that I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easier to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. Please refer to my How to Use Homeopathic Remedies video before using the material in this video. I'll be discussing how to use homeopathic remedies on specific ailments, but I've broken these ailments into categories for easier reference. I'll begin with ailments of the mind and emotions, then I'll move on to ailments of the brain and nervous system. Then I'll address issues with the skin, nails, hair, ears, eyes, nose, teeth, gums, lungs, respiration, heart, blood circulation, muscles, bones, joints, esophagus, stomach, duodenum, small and large intestine, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, kidney, bladder, then ailments specific to women and specific to men, then issues of the hormones and metabolism, and remedies for infections, infestations in the immune system, then issues surrounding fertility, pregnancy, childbirth, postnatal problems, special problems in infants, ailments and diseases in childhood, and special issues of adolescence, and finally, special issues of the elderly. Constitutional treatment involves treating the totality of the individual person. Everyone is a unique individual with a unique physiology that responds to substances differently. In homeopathy, it's recognized that people will react strongly to certain remedies, and as a result of this, they can be loosely placed into different categories, called constitutional types. Homeopaths talk of, for example, phosphoric types. These are people who strongly react to phosphorus, or Arsenicum Album types, those who react strongly to Arsenicum Album. The belief is that people of one type share similarities in terms of body shape, character, and personality, and the sorts of diseases from which they suffer. As an example, nature mirror people tend to be pear-shaped, have a dark complexion, be fastidious and rigid in personality, and keep themselves to themselves. They also crave salt and suffer from constipation. As another example, lycopodium types tend to be tall, ganglion, of a stooped appearance, with an anxious expression and a craving for sweets and a propensity to produce intestinal gas. Now, of course, constitutional types have their limitations. In reality, each person is an individual, and so there are as many constitutional types as there are human beings. An account must be taken of the sum total of the person's inherent predispositions, past illnesses, diet, general reactions to the environment, intellectual and emotional features, and general attitude towards life. This is what's meant by constitutional treatment. I'll be making detailed videos of the various constitutional types after I've completed the use of homeopathic remedies on ailments. The ideas, procedures, and suggestions in this video and all my homeopathic videos are not intended as a substitute for the medical advice of a trained health professional. Consult your physician before adopting the suggestions in this video. If you're pregnant, do not attempt these techniques without the approval of your physician. So, let us continue with learning how homeopathic treatments can help with infections, infestations, and the immune system, starting with the letters P and R. Infections are an almost daily occurrence, but if we are healthy, our immune system deals with them before we notice any symptoms. Most microorganisms enter the body through the nose and mouth, in the air, in our food, sometimes on dirty fingers. Some enter through cuts and abrasions, and others invade the urinary or reproductive tract through the urethra or vagina. Many of the microorganisms with which we share this planet are harmless. Some permanently inhabit the inside and outside of the human body. A few even produce substances useful to it and prevent harmful bacteria from finding a foothold. This is true of certain bacteria in the large intestine and vagina. Some bacteria are harmless in one part of the body, but damaging in others. This is true of E. coli, which is benign while it is in the colon or rectum, but harmful if it is transferred to the urethra, vagina, or mouth. Each kind of microorganism, whether it is a bacterium, virus, fungus, or blood parasite, carry special chemical markers known as antigens. Some strains of lymphocytes, which is a kind of white blood cell produced in the lymph nodes, spleen, bone marrow, adenoids, tonsils, and the wall of the gut, recognize antigens and stimulate other lymphocytes to produce proteins called antibodies, which then disable the carrier organism. Other lymphocytes directly attack and destroy the invading organism. For about 6 months after birth, babies are protected by their mother's antibodies. After that, the immune system is sufficiently mature to start manufacturing its own. Homeopathic immunization does not involve introducing live or dead viruses or antibodies into the body. Instead, remedies are prepared from diseased tissue or secretions using the traditional dilution and succession method. Like other homeopathic remedies, they contain in highly potent form the essence of the source material used. In this case, the essence of the disease organism and its toxins. The body reacts to such remedies known as nosodes by sharpening its immune response. The production of antibodies in response to antigens, the so-called immune response, is not the body's only line of defense. The body's first-line troubleshooters are neutrophils and macrophages, which are two kinds of white blood cells that constantly patrol the bloodstream and tissue fluids and respond immediately to the chemical and thermal signals sent out by tissues when they become inflamed. If inflammation is suppressed, white cell activity is impaired. Neutrophils and macrophages gobble up and digest offending microbes, foreign particles, and other noxious elements. The resulting pus is a mixture of necrotic tissue, dead bacteria, and dying white blood cells. Infections can be treated by killing the germs that cause them or helping the immune system to deal with them, or both, depending on general health and the virulence of the infection. Traditional antibiotics can deal with bacteria, but not viruses. After a course of antibiotics, live yogurt or kefir, eaten daily for at least 5 days, helps to repopulate the gut with the beneficial bacteria that the antibiotics have killed, along with the harmful bacteria that was their main target. Homeopathic remedies, improved nutrition, fresh air, exercise, and rest can restore the coping ability of the immune system. In some cases, homeopathic remedies and antibiotics used together may be necessary. Constitutional homeopathic treatment is always advisable after serious infections. Occasionally, as the result of aging or exposure to certain viruses, bacteria, chemicals, and environmental factors, the body loses some of its ability to discriminate between self and non-self, or fails to recognize and destroy its own abnormal cells. The first kind of impairment leads to autoimmune diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis and systemic lupus. The second leads to cancer. Allergies, distressing reactions to certain drugs, chemicals, food, and other substances that seem to be tolerated by the majority of people are the downside of having an immune system. PostViral Syndrome. PostViral Syndrome, or PVS for short, is indicated by extremely low energy levels following a viral illness such as mononucleosis, also known in the U.S. by many other names, including Epstein-Barr syndrome. The theory is that some viruses alter the immune system, causing the body to react to stress, chemicals, bacteria, toxins, and so forth, in ways it did not react to before. There is no single, simple treatment for PVS. The most important requisite is rest. Do 50 to 75% of what you normally do and stop as soon as you feel tired. Some doctors offer gamma globulin injections. Constitutional homeopathic treatment is recommended, and paying attention to diet, nutrition, vitamins and mineral supplements, and perhaps bowel cleansing or anti-candida treatments, or identification and elimination of allergies is recommended. Specific remedy, to be taken every 12 hours for up to 3 days while waiting for constitutional treatment. China, 30C. Rabies is contracted through being bitten or scratched by an animal infected with the rabies virus. Once in the body, the human body, the virus may be neutralized or may attack the central nervous system, causing fever, irrational behavior, and violent spasms of the throat, made worse by the mere sight of water. Without intensive care in the hospital, which may involve tracheotomy, artificial ventilation, and sedation, dehydration can cause death within a few days. Only 1 in 10 people bitten by a rabid animal actually develops rabies, but complacency on this score is dangerous since incubation can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years. If you think you have been bitten by a rabid animal, one that behaves oddly or aggressively, growls all the time, has froth around the mouth, see a doctor within 2 hours and inform the local police. It is customary to start a course of anti-rabies vaccinations immediately, although these will be continued if the animal is found not to be rabid. Suspect animals are usually captured rather than destroyed and kept under observation for 10 days. If they survive, they are not rabid. Specific remedies to be taken every 2 hours for up to 10 doses if symptoms of rabies develop. Remedies of first resort are belladonna 30C, followed by Stramonium 6C in the same dosage. If the person tears the clothes around their throat, use Lachesis 6C. If the symptoms are aggravated by water with an intense fear of water, use Hydrophobinum 6C. Prevention. While visiting countries where rabies is endemic, take Hydrophobinum 30C once a day for 7 days. Then belladonna 6C twice daily for 6 months. Radiation sickness. The symptoms of radiation sickness vary depending on how much radiation the person absorbs. The initial symptoms usually include nausea and vomiting, followed by a lack of appetite, diarrhea, dehydration, headache, and fever. Most people exposed to radiation also suffer some skin damage, such as sunburn, hemorrhage under the skin, and bleeding from the nose, gums, and mouth. Dizziness, disorientation, hair loss, and anemia may also appear immediately after intense exposure or as much as 4 weeks after a mild exposure. Some homeopathic remedies used to treat diarrhea, nausea, and fever, for example, may be helpful, but if you are sure the cause is radiation poisoning, the following specific remedies are the top remedies to consider. For homeopathic remedies provided in pellet form, a dose is generally 4 pellets for an adult or 2 to 3 pellets for a child. Cadmium Sulfuricum 30C or Potassium Iodide 30C. These are generally used as a prophylactic, with 1 dose, 4 pellets for an adult, and 2 to 3 pellets for a child, taken before and 1 dose taken after an atomic explosion. These are generally used before symptoms appear, but can be used after as well for many weeks or even months, especially if symptoms are present. Cadmium is the go-to remedy for violent nausea, retching, and vomiting. Cobaltum 30C. After an initial dose with one of the above remedies, cobaltum can be taken 4 times per day for 2 to 3 days to remove the side effects of radiation. If symptoms persist, the remedy can be used 4 times in 1 day, every 2 weeks for 2 to 3 months. With the guidance of a skilled homeopath, this remedy can be used in 200C potency. Radium Bromatum 30C. This remedy has been used when skin eruptions, skin ulcers, or arthritis appear after exposure to radiation. It is generally taken twice a day if symptoms are mild, and up to 5 times per day if more severe symptoms. This remedy can be used for several weeks, preferably under the watchful eye of a skilled homeopath. Arsenicum Album 30C. This remedy is the premier antidote for poisoning. It may be used in repeated doses every few minutes at first, and then every half hour for 1 to 2 days. Then as needed, depending on the symptoms. This remedy is commonly found in homeopathic kits, so if the other remedies are hard to find, this is a good option. Symptoms that particularly point to the use of this remedy include anxiety, restlessness, followed by weakness, chills, and desire for frequent small sips of water. Phosphorus, 30C and 200C and 1 ml. This remedy is also usually found in household kits. These potencies can be used one after the other in the same fashion as Arsenicum Album. Phosphorus is ideal for the person who feels completely weak and weary from loss of vital fluids, or feels so tired they have become apathetic and barely react to what is going on around them. Calc Fluor 12 and Natrium Mur 6C. These cell salts, commonly found in health food stores, can be used 3 times per day for months after exposure to radiation, and more frequently if necessary. Regardless of which other remedies are chosen, these 2 remedies work in tandem with others to help the body eliminate toxins. I also use them for exposure to toxins such as cigarette smoke or lawn pesticides. Calc Fluor 6X is a quintessential cell salt remedy to specifically protect the thyroid and bones, and can moderate the potential for future problems after radiation exposure. Natrium Mur 6X is one of my favorite cell salts for toxic exposure in general. It is associated with thyroid protection and has the capacity to gird the person psychologically as well as physiologically when exposed to toxins. Idotum 3X. If you suspect you are being exposed to constant low-level radiation, iodine, 1 dose of this remedy can be taken 3 times per day to address any long-term effects of the exposure. Ruta Graveolens is considered in homeopathic literature to protect the cells from damage after exposure to radiation. Most often it would be used in a 6th or 30th potency before and then after exposure. For example, when using 30C, Ruta 30C, it might be taken once per week for a month before exposure, and the same schedule for after exposure. Other modalities. Speaking of eliminating toxins, here's a tip from my friend and colleague. She suggests that as soon as radiation exposure is apparent, pour 1 cup each of baking soda and salt in a hot tub. Submerge and soak for as long as the water stays warm. If the exposure is particularly high, don't add more warm or hot water to the bath unless all of the water is drained, and then begin again. Baking soda can also be taken orally to minimize damage to the kidneys, as they work to secrete radioactivity from the body. Calcium bentonite clay can also be taken orally or slathered on externally to capture and absorb radiation. This clay can also be added to your laundry detergent to remove radiation from clothing. Rinsing vegetables in clay or baking soda dissolved in water will help remove radiation from food. Calendula lotions or ointments and topical aloe vera have been used to soothe skin damage and radiation burns. Calendula ointment or tincture is prepared from an herb that was used in World War II for radiation burns, as well as skin wounds in general. This can be used without homeopathic training, and every household should have it on hand. I have a great many videos now on many different topics, so I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easier to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. Well, that's it for now. To stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this free YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button right below this video. Take care.